Hello, beautiful people. Good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's cooler here today, which is actually quite nice and quite refreshing. So I'm just going to give it a second just to see if anyone is going to jump on with me live. Of course, I do send this out to my community via email, and of course it's available for you ever after here in the group as well. So I've actually put them, if you go to the top of the group, there's a section called guides. So if you want to watch any of the previous ones of these, you don't have to go searching, just go to guides and you'll be able to scroll down to the one you want. If you are jumping on, even if you can't stay, just hit the heart button for me, or say hello, or drop a heart, anything at all. I love interaction. I love knowing that I'm connecting with someone. Human connection. Yeah, we love that, right? I can see Carol has joined me. Good morning, beautiful Carol. Hope you're doing well down in Melbourne. It's all happening down. Oh, sorry, Adelaide. You're in Adelaide, but you totally, yeah, I believe you felt the effects of last week's earthquake, even in Adelaide. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's dive in. Let's start first by just taking 3 intentional breaths. Okay. Why do? I do it multiple times a day because I notice the world likes to pull me out of my presence, pull me out of my energy. So 3 intentional breaths, which I learnt through working with Megan Watterson and through my work with learning about Mary Magdalene and her incredible, profound gospel. I've discovered this 3 intentional breaths, and it's just so powerful. So join me now as we just drop in. We're going to do it really simply. The first intentional breath is just to sink. We sink from our head down into our heart, whatever that means for you. The second intentional breath is to tune into your heart and just ask the question, what do I know? We're just connecting in to our own internal wisdom. And then receive what you receive. It could be a thought, a feeling, a vision, whatever it is. It could be nothing. That's okay too. And then the third intentional breath is just a breath of gratitude. So let's do that together now. Let's just take a couple of minutes and just breathe in together. And as we breathe out, we sink down into our heart. And just notice our energy. And we can call it back as well. As we sink into our heart, we can call all of our energy back from all time, places and spaces. And just call yourself back. Call wherever you've left your energy today, wherever that is, whatever's been happening, just call it all back to you. Call all of you back as you sink down into your heart. Whatever that means for you. Whatever that feels like for you. Whatever that sounds like for you. And then taking that second intentional breath together. Let's breathe in and breathe out. And as we breathe out, we ask our heart. We go down into that deep part of us and we ask, what do I know? What do I know? What do I know? And just feel what you feel, see what you see, hear what you hear. And then taking that third intentional breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And we give thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. To whoever and wherever. and mostly to you, to that part of you that holds your wisdom. Beautiful. All right, beautiful humans. Yeah, so say hi, say good morning, tell me where you're dropping in from. So today we are going to talk about something that I started talking about on social media a little bit last week, which is the concept of asking for what you want. And it got quite a big reaction. So I thought today that I would spend some time and just dive into this topic of asking for what we want. Now, it sounds pretty simple. It sounds fairly self-explanatory. And it is. It actually really is. However, in my experience and through the people that I work with and the coaching that I do and the mentoring that I do, what I've come to understand is, and what I've come to notice is we make it very unsimple. And in fact, when I'm working with people, when I ask them the question, what do they want? They will most often answer with what they don't want. Now, here's why this is important. So let's start with the why. Let's start with, why do we do that? So why do we go to what we don't want? And here's why that is important. Because when we start to, if you're thinking in terms of what do I want, and the first thing that comes to you is what you don't want, that's what's going to occupy your thoughts. So if you kind of, something's keeping you up at night, or you're not sleeping because your mind won't stop thinking, it is quite likely because you're thinking about everything that you don't want to have happen, everything that you don't want to occur. How can I not have this happen? What do I need to do so this doesn't happen? And what's happening when we're doing that is we're actually, what you think about, you bring about. So whatever you're thinking about is what you're actually telling the universe. So if you've ever found that you have had difficulty in A, asking for what you want, and B, receiving it, it might be because you're tuned in to the frequency of what you don't want. Unconsciously, you may not be aware that you're even doing this. But let's check in on that. Let's check in first to, am I tuned into what I want, or am I tuned into what I don't want? Because whatever you're tuned into is what you're going to get, right? It's not just, and feel free to reject this. Feel free to reject what I'm saying if it doesn't ring true for you. Though there are some universal laws that kind of, this isn't just me saying this. There are universal laws that determine this. So let's start there. And from there, let's just now dive into, let me differentiate for you why it's important to look at what do you need versus what do you want, right? Let's move into that. So first of all, we've determined. Check in. Are you actually focused in on what you want, or are you focused in on what you don't want? Because they're not the same. They're very, very different. And when you start to focus in on that, you then get to tune into, okay, if I'm now in the, I now know what I want, am I coming from the energy of this is what I need it, or I want it? Because this is also important. And you'll start to notice a pattern here. You'll start to notice that there is this, there's a vibrational thing going on here. So let's start to look at that. So when you're coming from the energy of, what you need, you're coming from the space of you don't have it, right? When you say, I really need, and I'll give you, try this on, because you'll be able to feel this for yourself. So let's just play around. So say to yourself, I need $1,000,000. Just say that to yourself in your mind, whatever that feels like, or say it out loud if you can. I need $1,000,000. Notice the energy around that. Now say to yourself, I want $1,000,000. I want $1,000,000. Notice the energy around that. It's distinctly different, isn't it? The need energy has this urgency, this lack, this scarcity, this it's quite heavy. But want energy is exciting. It's expansive. It's like making a wish. It's like when you're a little kid and you got to make a wish. Which, let's just go there for a second. I don't know about you, but I was not taught to ask for what I want. I was only allowed to ask for what I needed. I grew up on a farm, and money was tight. This isn't, there's a whole bunch of money story stuff I could go into, that maybe for another time. But let's just start there. Were you encouraged to ask for what you want as a child? If you're like me, probably not. But you did get to make a wish, perhaps, on your birthday every year. You got to wish for what you wanted, not what you need. And isn't that a different energy? Are you with me on this? It's a different energy. So the first couple of things here to notice is, are you actually asking for what you want? Or are you in the energy of what you don't want? That's the first port of call here. The second is, are you asking for what you want, or are you asking for what you need? If you're asking for what you need, you're coming from the energy of you don't have it. If you're asking from the energy of what I want, it's more expansive and exciting. And the universe matches you, energy for energy, vibration for vibration, frequency for frequency. Whatever vibration you're emitting, the universe matches that. It has no choice. So these first two things, straight up, are really, really important when it comes to manifesting what you want. So what else have I got written down here? So how do we do it? How do we even do this? Well, it begins with practice, right? It begins with just a simple practice of tuning into what you want. Now, I do this multiple times a day, and I'm going to share, as I said in the intro, I'm going to share with you the number one mistake that we make when we start to tune into what we want. So the first thing is to begin to practice tuning in and asking, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? Be like a little kid, if that helps. Be like, if I could wish for one thing, what is the one thing I would love to do right this moment? What is the one thing that the little girl in me wants right now? And start there. Start with the practice of that. You know what? For so many of us, and I remember when I started this practice, sometimes all that little girl wanted was to rest. Like, she just wanted to rest. But I didn't let her rest, because rest didn't get it done, right? This is so important that we begin to tune into what it is that our inner knowing wants. And I'll give you a really good example of this. In fact, this was the other day. I shared this with my friend yesterday. In fact, I think it was whatever day the earthquake was. I don't know, Thursday of last week. And I woke up and I felt really heavy, like really heavy energetically. And so I did what I always do, which is when I wake up every morning, I sit for a minute or two and just put my hand on my heart and ask, what do you want to do? What do you want? What do you want? And her response was to go sit by the river. And I'm going to tell you that there was a part of me that really argued with that initially, right? This is the number one mistake we make, is we begin to argue with what we want. And when we do that, we are moving out of our expansion and into our contraction when we begin to argue with what we want. We are vibrational beings. Vibrationally, we are attuned to what we are, which is abundance. At our natural state, we are abundance. We are abundant human beings. That's what we are. But when we start to try and control that, we're moving ourselves out of that. So I woke up and I felt all she wanted to do was to just go and sit by the river, all right, and just be grounded. And yet there was this part of me that started to argue with that. We haven't got time for that. We've got all these things we need to be doing. Can you hear the need? The need, the need, the need. And, but I've done this for long enough to know that my vibration is the most important thing, like the most important thing. And if I manage my vibration, everything else will just come to me, like it just does. And I'm going to share a really personal story inside of this as to how this happened for me when I followed what I wanted, when I followed what she wanted. So I went down to the river here in Brisbane. I've got this favourite little tree that I sit under, and I just tuned in to the earth. Now, while I was sitting there tuned into the earth, a message came through that there'd been an earthquake. And I'm like, whoa. The earth was calling me to the earth. She was calling me to the earth. Now, whether that was to receive an upload from the earth or whether that was to receive, for me to put my energy into the earth, healing for other people, I don't know. I don't need to know the answer to that. But for some reason, she wanted me to be on the earth. And then not long after that, someone else messaged me and said, "What are you doing?" And I took a photo of myself. Here I was just sitting on a blanket on the earth, down by the river, just feeding my soul with all the elements, earth, air, fire and water, just feeding my soul with the elements. It's what she wanted, so I honored that. Could feel my vibration rising. And then I found out it was the solstice, the equinox, the spring equinox. And again, I'm like, yes, of course the earth is calling to me. Of course this is what she wants. Because we are all expressions of the earth and the universe, right? So I thought that was really, really funny. So I stayed on the earth, grounded myself, really just drew the four elements to my body, could feel my vibration rising, 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 could feel myself becoming lighter and lighter and lighter. And later that day, when I came home, and I just felt myself in this energy of being, this high vibrational energy where, I'd gone from this low density, this sense of low density in my body, to this sense of high density, like feeling really high and light and excited. And one of the most bizarre things happened that day. So I'm involved with a few different, different cryptocurrencies and things like that. And that afternoon, much to my surprise, one of my crypto wallets blew up into like this 5 figures US dollars. I'm not even joking. And I'm going, what? That is crazy. How does that even happen? What? And I want to tell you, I want to share with you that, this is exactly how we create. This is how we, how we get to pull stuff to us. versus being in that energy of low density, lack. I don't have. And if you're in the I don't want energy, I don't have energy, then you're going to create more of that. That's what the universe is going to match you with. It's just going to give you that. Not because it's punishing you in any way. It just can only match what you are. So tuning into what you want is so important on so many levels. And the mistake we make is when we tune into what we want is arguing with it. It's the number one mistake we make. We hear what we want and then we go, yeah, but maybe I need to do it a different way. Maybe I need to, that doesn't make sense. How's that going to make me any money? That's usually the number one thing or how's that going to give me the thing I want? It's the number one thing that it's completely taught not to do, is to trust the thing that we want. Trust what we know, our body. How many times have you done that? How many times have you tuned in and asked yourself, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? You hear it and then you argue with it. You do the complete opposite. Or you try and control it in some way to make it look a certain way. When all there is to do is to just follow that vibration, follow the energy of that vibration, and trust in the truth of you, knowing exactly where and what to do to have you in your highest vibration. So that's kind of it for today, guys. It is a really simple concept, and I'll summarize for you, and I'll summarize. So the number one mistake is when you tune into what you want, the number one mistake that we make is we don't trust what we hear. We think in some way we know better. We do. So we start with this. Let's start with tuning into making sure that you are in the energy of what you want, not what you don't want. Check in straight away on that. Are your thoughts don't want energy or want energy? Number one, that's the first thing we need to do. The second thing is to check in and see, am I now that I know what I want, am I coming from it from the energy of excitement because it excites me, or am I coming from it from the energy of need, meaning I don't have it, I'm incomplete? Second thing. And then the third part of this is to, once you tune into what you want, to trust in that. And let me just give you a final little piece on this as to why we don't trust. We don't trust because generally the thing that we want we haven't had, or we don't have, or we haven't yet received. So to our little egoic identities that we all have, our little patterns, our identities, inner child, whatever you want to call it, it is not going to unconsciously move you to something you've never had, because it's got no evidence that it's safe to do so. So for us to move towards what we want, it is a conscious practice. It is something that we have to consciously do. If I'd have stayed in my unconscious state on Thursday and didn't tune into spending time in nature, then I'm coming from, my energy is rooted in lack, rooted in scarcity, rooted in, we just got to do what's familiar, which is just the grind, the hustle and grind. I'm an overachiever. That's my natural state, right? Overachiever. That's what I do. And when I let her run the show, we are constantly in the grind of what we don't have, constantly striving for what we don't have. And that's lack energy. Vibrationally, that is lack. So shifting into what do I want and trusting in that energy has got to be a conscious thing. It's got to be something that we do consciously, because we won't ever consciously move to something we've never experienced, because to the ego, it's not safe. The ego will only ever take you to what's familiar, not what's unfamiliar. So that's it for today, beautiful humans. I will draw a card and just see what we get as a message for the week ahead. But if you have any questions around this, please reach out. It is definitely a practice. And if you do just one thing from this today, just begin to notice, are you in the energy of what you want, or are you in the energy of what you don't want? That's the absolute starting point, right? And then the second part of that is to tune into, am I coming from this? Am I coming from a need, or am I coming from want? Am I coming from lack, or am I coming from this is exciting? That's the second part of it. And then the third part is trusting your innate knowing of moving you towards the thing you want, right? We have to trust ourselves. You know, it wasn't a natural thing for me to trust that I wanted to spend, half a day sitting down in nature. That didn't feel like that was going to achieve anything to me. But I trusted that that's vibrationally where I needed to spend my day, to raise my vibration, to bring myself up, to be a match for the universe and everything that it has in store for me. You can call this woo-woo, you can call it whatever you want. But I can tell you categorically that it works. It works when we can tune into what we want and get excited about that. Yeah. All right, let's just see if a card is going to jump out. Usually cards jump out. So I'm just going to ask, Spirit, for a card. Actually, it's given me a whole bunch, so I'm just going to shuffle again. There it is right there. Complete jumping card. So it's let me just show it to you. The card is Machik Labdron. I think that's how you pronounce it. I am not very good at pronouncing. So, you know what? I am good at pronouncing. I'm great at pronouncing. She is the diamond-hearted Dakini. The diamond-hearted Dakini. I've actually drawn this card before. Her message, her intention, the energy in this card is, I see the light in my own darkness, which is kind of interesting. That's, the want. Want is lightness. What do I want? That's lightness. What do I need is darkness. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that these cards always seem to just come out the way they do. I face my ego beliefs to feel free. What are your ego beliefs? Do you believe that you can't have what you want unless you hustle and grind, do this, sacrifice that, whatever? Because that's a belief. That's a conditioning. That's a memo that we've been given as the only way for something to transpire. I'm just going to read you a little bit about this card. So I'm going to read you what it means when your soul selects this card. So this is the message that we've been given collectively for the week ahead. So from Mashig's perspective as an enlightened female, She knew that the difference between a god and a demon had to do with our reaction to them. Those who cause us pain, she explained, also teach us patience, whereas those who bring gifts can distract us from our spiritual paths. No one and no single situation has the power to derail us. That is, unless we let it. The power rests within us. It's pretty, it's really just confirming what I'm sharing with you guys today. You have the power to create whatever you want, but coming from that high density, that lightness, that excitement. Yeah. The spiritual path for Mashig was to become intimate with her inner demons, those thoughts or beliefs that kept her from experiencing joy, bliss, and pure love. It's exactly what I've been talking about today. The darkness within us isn't actually dark. It often feels threatening because some aspect of our intuition knows that when we face it, we will reclaim a lost part of our soul. We will heal. We will become more whole, and that, ironically, can be terrifying. It really can. To the ego, receiving what you want can be terrifying if you've never had it. And it doesn't matter how many times you say, this is what I don't have in my life. This is what I don't have in my life. If that's the energy, then you're just going to get more of that. So we have to move into the lightness, into the excitement, into the expansion of desire for the thing versus need. We get so used to functioning with only one wing. We wonder, how can I fly now with two? I'll go too far, too high. Who will I become now that I am free? Yeah, if you were free to manifest anything you wanted, who would you become? Who would you be? Mashig is here to support us in seeing what's ready to come to consciousness. She's here with her diamond heart to hold us as we feed one of our demons, not with fear, but with the knowledge that bringing it to life and into the light will help set us free. So the soul voice meditation question, which is what we can do with the 3 intentional breaths, is to ask this question: is there an ego belief that I'm ready to see and release within me? Is there an ego belief that I am ready to see and release within me? Is it a belief that you're not worthy? Is it a belief that good things only happen to certain people? Is it a belief that, people that have it all are horrible or mean or selfish? Yeah, whatever it is. So is there an ego belief that I'm ready to see and release within me so that you can step into the light, into the excitement of drawing upon the vibration of what excites you? Yeah. It's really not a matter. It's not about, when I hear people say, I really deserve this. I'm really worthy of this. Even saying that to me suggests there's a belief in you that thinks otherwise. When we are in that vibration, that high vibration of excitement, expansion, you would never even enter into the thought, I deserve this, because you just know. You just in that energy of excitement and expansion. You wouldn't even say to yourself, am I worthy of this? Do I deserve this? Yeah, I deserve it. You wouldn't enter that conversation. You would just know fully and wholly in your being. It's who you are. It's who we all are. It's not a question of, am I more worthy or deserving than someone else? Am I even worthy or deserving? Abundance, love, light, joy. It's who we are. It's who we all are. Yeah. Asking for what we want is being in that energy, trusting in that energy, becoming that energy, which is who we are at our natural state, in our natural state. Bit of a quick one today, beautiful people. But I feel that's all there is for me to share with you today. This is really key. It is the simplest. It's the simplest practice, and it will be the one that will be, that will create the greatest change in your life. When you move from the energy of trusting what you want, and wanting it because it just excites you to want it, not because you're in lack, not because you don't have it, not because it's going to make you better if you do, just because it excites you. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what she wants right now. And know that that is a moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. How do we stay present? Presence is just breathing in and breathing out. I shared a beautiful poem by John Rodell on my Facebook page on the weekend, and it is the most exquisite piece of writing that reminds us that everything that we are, everything we seek, everything we be is not anywhere other than in this moment, in this inward breath and this outward breath. That's it. That's where everything we desire exists. Yeah. All right, beautiful humans. Have a wonderful week ahead. Heading towards the end of September. Freaky, exciting. And yeah, I'd love for you to share, either here in the group or send me a private message. Share, what is it that you want? Claim it. Yes, be in the claiming of what you want. Get excited for what you want. Be a match vibrationally for what you want. Lots of love.